Welcome to Positive Waves. My name's Matthew Collinson,
I'm Joseph Somma.
and today we are going to talk about stress. But before I talk about stress, I'm going to talk about a stress reliever. And I just had some great Halo Haze. I don't know if you guys have tried that cannabis, but it is delicious. Makes you feel great.
Yeah, that's one thing that does help relieve some stress, that's for sure.
So stress comes in all forms, right? But there's good parts of stress and there's bad parts of stress, right? I think we can all agree to that.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the health concerns that I have here. I'm a wellness life coach. So when it comes to stress, like that's a big, like thing that actually hurts the human body on a chemical level. It can cause so many different health issues, from heart attacks to like all kinds of things. Like it is so insane what it can do to the body when you're at a high state of stress all the time. That's one of the reasons, at least this was an older statistic, so I don't know if it's still accurate, but Mondays were the biggest percentage day for heart attacks.
Wow. Yeah, I can see it. Not many people like Mondays.
Go to work, go to whatever it is, because they're just doing the wheel, being in that same wheel over and over again, that same cycle.
Yeah, same script. I mean, weekend wasn't long enough, didn't get to all the things done I wanted to get done. Now I got to go back to fucking work. This is some bullshit. I got to be up at 5 a.m. I don't want to. Yeah, that cycle did get old. And I remember it quite well. But yeah, the effects of stress on the body, I mean, it starts small and simple with just raising your blood pressure. And that, just manifests into more and more devastating health concerns and health issues. And there are ways to benefit from stress if you don't hold it, if you are able to do that whole go within thing and ask yourself, why the fuck am I so stressed out right now? What is happening here? And if you're able to, you'll figure out what's going on and you'll be able to find out how. If not, you can do simple things like find a nice stone. This here is a blue onyx stone. That's a great grounding stone. It stress, anxiety, depression, it just brings you right back down to earth and helps you ground. And in doing so, it calms that mind and allows you to focus through all of those things that are flying through your mind at a million, thoughts a millisecond, and helps you to determine, okay, this is what I'm bitching about, but this is what I'm stressed about. And it doesn't even generally doesn't even, land on the same page or on the same day. There's days where something happened 2-3 days ago that upset you, but it wasn't that bad. But then, that roller coaster of life starts throwing more and more piles of shit on your bad day. And next thing you know, you're stressed the fuck out and you don't know why.
Nope. So while in that state too, while you're in that asking yourself why state, do it 7 times.
Really?
It's the 7 why exercise. I got it from Tony Robbins. I'm not sure where he got it from, kind of thing, but it's an exercise he had, and I believe it was Awaken the Giant Within. That was one of my first personal development books that I read, which was a good one, because it runs you through all these different exercises to like work on like your values and all that fun stuff that you work on when you get into personal development. But it's exciting because when you go deeper and deeper and deeper, you can really start to narrow down what the real reason is. The funny part is it always comes back to you. Like, regardless, there's always that reflection piece of it, which always cracks me up when I do find that about myself. I'll be like, why was I so mad? And then I'm like, yeah, I know I used to do that. I hate that about myself.
Right. But it helps you to learn and it helps you to grow if you've got the courage to go within and ask those tough questions. And yeah, I do remember you telling me about those 7 questions before. We're gonna have to sit down and go through those, or I'll have to find them, because yeah, I mean that'd be a nice little tool to have in my handbag to pull out whenever. I mean, we can suggest things like meditation and breath work and going out in nature and grounding or just sitting in the sunshine. But those are temporary fixes if you don't go within and truly find out what the core cause is to that stress or those situations causing that stress.
Exactly. Um, it's funny how the small ones can all add up too. So you gotta watch that. So how about some good releases for stress? What are some good releases?
For me personally, I like to do either breath work or I like to go outside and just be in nature, allow myself to ground, enjoy the sounds of nature, feel the sun shining on my face. Like you said, that wonderful halo, every now and then, if I'm just super stressed and I don't have any responsibilities to handle at the moment, I'll smoke a little and just allow my mind to calm down so I can better determine why I am so stressed or freaking out or not able to get my head wrapped around of what's causing all of this anguish.
Yeah. I also like exercise for that as well to release it that way, like especially when because I can feel myself going like this essentially. My shoulders will go if I look like a little like
Punching bag you have, that would be a great stress reliever too.
yeah, I love my punching bag, but I got to get weights on the bottom of it still. I got the stand is nice, the bag's nice, but I've got to weight it down because it slides on the deck. Although I'm getting rid of this deck as soon as I possibly can. Essentially, I'm going to be pulling it apart, and then we're going to be doing like a lower patio kind of thing. It'll be part of my backyard paradise I built for me and my family.
Well, there you go, ripping some stuff apart. That's some good stress relieving. I remember when I worked not construction, but the other end where you're tearing demolition. There we go. You just go into a building and, boss says this needs to come out and you just take a sledgehammer to it and you get all that stress out of you. Although the body gets pretty damn sore later, depending on how old you are. In my 20s, it was fine. Nowadays, hell, I could barely swing a sledgehammer, but I've had so many operations, I'm not technically allowed to.
I was going to say you need to practice more. No.
Just need a little sledgehammer. Well, that'd probably stress me out more because I'm not knocking down walls. I'm just making little dents in the wood.
That reminds me of the little hammer. Did you ever watch Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
The little hammer he used to dig out the walls in those like 30 years he was there. He dug himself out with that little ass hammer.
Hey, persistence, it's a great gift. You got to have a little patience with that though too, because 30 years of digging, but finally got out, got free.
Yeah, man.
Not suggesting anyone should break out of jail or anything. I mean,
that's not condoned.
Got yourself there and heal yourself from whatever caused you to get there.
Oh man. Yeah, that'd be stressful.
Or going to jail, I'd be pissed off myself. Hopefully we got good lawyers.
Yeah. Oh well. Glad I'm not there now. So how else can we reduce stress here for people? I'd like to hear some comments too as you're in this episode. How are ways that you take care of your stress in order not to let it build up inside of you? I think it's an important question for each of us to ask ourselves and to really start getting into that mindset of, hey, I can do something about this.
Well, I think that's one good reason why we should have hobbies.
Yeah.
If you're creative, if you're a painter, if you're a drawer, if you're, a seamstress or create necklace or jewelry, getting to that thing that you have passion for can help, dissolve that stress. It may not resolve the issue, but it takes your mind out of it. And while you're painting that picture, you might, paint the thing that's causing you the stress or the solution to work through it. It's great to have those hobbies that we truly love to do and we're set up to do at any time. I know some people that love to build, their engines of their hot rods. I know, some people that love to just play card games. I know some people that do love to do the artwork. So really, I think it boils down to what are you passionate about? What brings you joy? Because when you're bringing yourself that joy, you're not living in that stress. Sometimes in that stress, it's hard to see that joy, but that's why we have things like marijuana, a beer, a couple stones. I mean, there's substances that can, but at the same time, you don't want to consume too much beer. That's going to cause more health issues. You're not actually resolving the issue. You're maybe calming yourself, but instead of having one or two beers to calm yourself, you're having a 12 pack in a couple hours. That's defeating the purpose. That's delaying resolving the process. And the more you hide from it or the more you run from it, the longer that problem's going to be there. You know, it's better to man up, woman up, whatever you want to say, and face that fear, face that stress, and work through it. The quicker you work through it, the quicker you're going to feel better about your life or your situation.
Yeah. And also thinking about, all right, so this is another part of the stress factor is we can think about then if we're in that state of mind, once we've cleared it a little bit, you can then be like, well, what do I want more of in my life and what do I want less of in my life? Because you can pick what you want more and
Mhm.
less of. It's just a matter of figuring out how to get there. Then it's just steps. And because you can take steps, it's possible to work through. But normally we all need to start small. It's like what we were talking about when we were talking about meditation. You got to start small. Start with 30 seconds or a minute and then build.
Yeah.
Like or one breath even. Like seriously. Same for exercise. You don't go running 5 miles the first day you're running.
Yes, yeah, I'm disabled. I need both knees replaced, but I'm going to go run a triathlon.
My wife's laughing at me right now because I have a tendency to go run really far my first day of running.
And then
If I
spend a
haven't been
week or
running
so to
for a while.
recover.
What's that?
And then you spend a week or so to recover.
Yeah, exactly. I
Mhm.
just like work it.
Well, that's right there is the importance of taking small steps. Why are you going to stress yourself out more trying to reach the end result in one step when the most beneficial way to get there is the freaking turtle? You know, the story of the hare and the turtle. That rabbit took off and, you know, did whatever it did. That turtle just cruised along, got there in his dear sweet time, and still won the freaking race. You know, value those small steps, enjoy them, focus on them. Don't look at the final picture and say, I need to be there right now. See it, want to be there for sure, but value those steps. Take those small steps. It doesn't matter how small you make them. Generally, for myself, the smaller I make the step, the more victorious I am with every single step I take. If I try and take a step too big, I can potentially create that failure, which is going to beat me up mentally, and it's going to hold me back a little longer, and it's going to prevent me from achieving that goal quicker. So definitely cherish the small step. Don't think you got to do it all in one big jump.
Yeah, that reminds me of a phrase I really like. You don't have to like what you're doing to love what you do. So it's like even if you're doing like cleaning pans or something in the kitchen, you can just get into like a meditative state and just enjoy the act of doing that. And you're making your house cleaner and better for your people or for even yourself too, depending if you live alone, right? Because some people do. And I think like the pandemic and that kind of thing hit the people that live alone harder than anyone else, or like really, because they really didn't have anyone to go to.
For myself, my life didn't change much. I lived alone. I got my son, on my custody, the appointments and all of that. But I didn't have my partner living with me at the time. But also, I didn't go out all the time. I wasn't at the bar hanging with friends. I wasn't going out to concerts or local events. I hung out at the house. I was reading my books. I was working on self, working on my growth. But I do agree. There's a lot of people that do live alone, and when the pandemic hit, they couldn't get out and they started going stir crazy. I was one of the people they called because they couldn't comprehend how I could be alone for such long stretches without having that human interaction, that physical, face-to-face meetings. I mean, we did a lot of Zoom calls, sure, but you can't reach out and touch someone physically on a Zoom call. I mean, you could poke the screen and shake the camera, but that human interaction isn't there, and that alone can cause stress. I mean, we are individuals for sure, but we do need that community. We do need to hear others' voices, to feel others' energies, to have others' insights, because that helps us grow. That helps to work out of the stresses of our own personal life. I mean, there's keywords that people say that strike me, and it's like poof, light bulb. Now I got an idea of how to work through a situation that's been causing me, maybe not stress, but causing me grief for a while.
It's
And
all a stress. That's a form of stress.
right, it's not as hard as a stress, but yeah, it's still a lower lying vibration. So to be able to have that human interaction and hear those key words or get that insight of another's perspective, it helps us grow.
So getting around others is another way to de-stress, which is good because I love that. And I agree. I've used it actually more recently, especially the past year and a half for some reason. That if I'm having like some kind of issue, whatever that is, a problem, a challenge, a stress,
Mm-hmm.
you bring it to the people around you that you surround yourself with. If you can't bring it to people that you surround yourself with, I would consider getting around another group of people.
Exactly. If you can't trust the ones you're with, you need to find people that you can. And that, that alone will change the outlook of life. You're not stressed about being around the people you're calling friends. Is that truly a friend? I mean, what would you call that when you're around a group of people that you can't trust or share or be your authentic self with?
Exactly.
Just an acquaintance? I don't know. Let's go hang out with the acquaintances. Yeah, that don't sound fun. That sounds tedious. That's creating stress in me just thinking about it.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that. I was pretty happy on like mostly video calls, and then I kind of could do my own thing because I don't mind going, like I'm happy within myself, so it doesn't take much to make me happy. Like I can sit there in quiet solitude and be completely content with life.
Well, there is power in silence, and being able to sit in that silence, you can receive all sorts of messages and have all sorts of revelations and epiphanies about how to better your life. But
Yeah, we
you
were
and I,
talking about that.
we've done the work. We comprehend how beneficial that is. There's a lot of people out there that they can't stand that silence. They can't live with their own thoughts because their own thoughts fucking terrify them.
Yeah, they haven't let it go.
Yeah, and that was a lot of the calls that I was receiving over the COVID times was, Joe, I'm depressed as fuck. I can't live with these thoughts. I can't. And then like they would just get into that repeating, I can't, like broken record freaking mentality where they were so terrified of their thoughts that they could not figure out how to walk through them. And that's when I started learning how, when I wanted to be a coach and all that, because I could help these people walk through these situations that were so huge for them. But, for me, it's just another day in paradise, good or bad. It's how you do your life. And if you get stuck in that cycle of fuck this, fuck that, everything sucks, I want to go home. Well, you're at home, then you freak out. But if you're able to walk through and, have a pleasant conversation with yourself and vision the dreams that you're going to live instead of visioning the hell that you're trying to avoid, that's where you're going to be. So if you're envisioning the hell that you don't want to live, that's what you're going to wind up getting, because we project through our thoughts what we want in our life. So if we're projecting those high stress around hateful people type of mentality and whatnot, it's gonna come to you. If you're gonna project the dreams you want for your future and the high vibing people you want around you and all that, you're gonna attract them. The point of the story is you're gonna attract what you think.
What you focus on is what you see, and
Mm-hmm.
it can be good, it can be bad, it can be effective, ineffective, negative, positive, whatever it is that you attach to it, because only we attach the emotions to any given scenario. You can shift perceptions and all that, and there's cool exercises to do that. But like one is a bird's eye view, for instance. You can pull yourself out of it. We've talked about that. I think a future pacing exercise would be good if you're feeling that way most of the time. That's when you think of the best possible outcome in the future, say a year down the road or 5 years down the road. Like, really, how do you want to feel at that point in time? And then you get into the feeling of it, the image of it. Who's around you? Who's surrounding you? Who are you talking to? Where are you? What does it feel like? Do you feel any breezes? Do you hear any birds? Like that kind of thing. And you just get real detailed. You can take 5-10 minutes essentially just doing the visioning exercise and really going into what you want. And then you just have to form steps. And that comes back to the daily habits that we all talk about. as coaches and other beings that teach.
Right. And it's a beautiful process to actually take those steps towards that better life instead of continuing the same cycles of the old stressful situations.
I agree. It takes continuous personal development, of course. I think we all have those struggles regardless. It doesn't matter whether you study or don't study. Either way, you're going to go through stressors. So I'd rather study up a little bit, be a little more prepared. And that's why I kind of went the direction I did, so that I could take care of my family and that kind of thing. Right. We need to be the best examples for our children, essentially, I figure. So how do we do that? Well, first we have to be free, because we need to be able to make good decisions.
Right. Yeah, no, healing our ancestral or generational curses is one big thing to allow your kids not to repeat them. And that's a lot of dark ass shadow work. That can be pretty painful, but it's so freaking rewarding that I do suggest it. It's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but when you work through those demons, those darknesses, and stop those ancestral curses from continuing, you heal, like, what was it, like, I think you heal 6 lines before you and all after you, or something like that. How great of a thought it is that to release that stress of knowing I'm passing this on to my kids. Well, no, you're not, because you just worked through some harsh shit that you no longer are going to carry or push into your future, your family.
Yeah, futuristic positive energy wave. I love it, man.
For sure. But yeah, one of the things you said, it brought up an old saying that I used to use all the time, because it's just where I was in life. And it was something along the lines of, I expect the worst and hope for the best. And guess what I always got? I got the worst. Every horrible scene that my brain would play out, because it played out some pretty fucking ugly shit. I got it, because that's what I was projecting. That's what I was seeing. Oh, this is going to go this way. I just see it happening. If I would have learned then what I know now, I would have just kept it as, I expect the best. I visualize this scene ending this beautiful, miraculous way where everybody's freaking happy with the situation, and there's no fights, there's no feuds, there's no arguments, there's no anger, there's no hate, there's no bitter emotions. Like, throw all that shit away. Envision the best possible outcome, and that also will help you work through those stressful moments. Or if you feel you're at work and there's, oh, the boss needs to see me, don't stress out about why he wants to see you. Visualize yourself, oh, this motherfucker wants to see me because they're going to give me a great review and throw me a $2 raise or something. Visualize the best possible thing that you can imagine, so you don't stress yourself out.
I relate to that. I used to say, what else could go wrong, or what else, can happen. And it was a terrible frame of mind, because it's like, well, that's what you expect. And then one day, sure enough, it was like, I was having a shitty day as a child, like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8. And I was bugging the shit out of my sister, who's a few years older than me. And we were coming back from one of her horse riding things that she was on, and I said that, sure enough, we come around the corner and the cat's up in the garage, pinched.
Oh,
yeah. It was bad, but that like stuck in my memory, and I was like, nope, never doing that again. And I really try not to anymore. Like, since then, like, it was a traumatic event.
That's usually when change occurs. When we have that traumatic event where we put our foot down and just say, no, I'm not doing this shit no more. And hopefully people catch this call and they realize that they don't have to keep creating that same old shit situation, that they can create a better life.
Yeah, it's possible to grow.
Yeah, and it starts with visioning that better life. Once you can vision it, you can start stepping into it. The universe will bring what you need to create that. But if you're going to keep creating your same old shit story, well, grab the spoon and keep stirring, because that's all you're going to get.
So true too. It's so true. Yeah, I also like nature too for this piece. De-stressing, like we talked about before. I went through that book with the 3 days where they hiked and stuff. It's that getting out into nature is such a centering experience, and like once you really feel it, like you have to be there and feeling it, like leave your phone, leave your nonsense in the
Right,
car
right,
and go just take a hike and let me know how you feel after you're done, and I bet you it's going to be a lot better than before you went in.
right. Like we've all heard the term tree hugging hippie, right? I always laughed at it because I always had that mental image painted in my brain about what a tree hugging hippie was. And over the last like year or so, I've learned so much about the energies that trees give off. And it's freaking ridiculous. Now here I am, like I'm the image of the tree hugging hippie. I mean, granted, I'm not walking up and embracing, but I'll go sit against a tree and I'll just let that energy flow from the tree through me. And if I can, go barefoot and ground at the same time and just allow those stresses to just dissolve, to dissipate. And it's amazing because I laughed at people for so many years using this tree hugging hippie term, and now here I am out there just leaning against the tree, like, oh man, this just yeah, melt this stress away. This is great. Thank you, nature. Thank you, Mother Nature. And it's funny to say it, but I'm at a point in life where I don't care what you think of me. If I need to de-stress or if I need to release some bad energy, I'm gonna do it in whatever way works best for me.
Mhm.
So
I always
yeah,
feel like I'm walking among giants when I'm in like a forest. So I'm just like, this is so cool.
that's why I need to get to your side of the country. I'd love to see some of those redwoods and some of those trees over 100 feet tall.
Oh, Redwoods is down south. Yeah, I have a 160-foot pine in my back.
Holy crap, that's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
A guy that we had here, he was doing our inspection. He was like, you guys should do a zip line from up there. I'm like, maybe.
Sweet, that'd be fun. Get out in the
Yeah,
nature and have a nice little bird's eye view and zip line down to some other part of the neighborhood.
that'd be crazy, man.
Just how do you get up there? I mean, even if you went up like 140 feet or something, built a nice basket to dive from, but how would you climb all the way up? That'd be a journey in itself.
That'd be a ladder.
Talk about conquering fears, hell.
Yeah. I don't really like heights very much. Not that I can talk, because since I went skydiving and stuff, but it's like, oof, heights still like I'm like, hi, how you
Yeah.
doing?
No, I'm scared of heights, but I've had to work so many jobs where heights were involved, and I got to the point where, like, if I used a skylift and I'm 40 feet up in a building on this wobbly ass skylift, once I get up to the top, I have to look down. If I don't look down, I'm gonna keep that fear in my mind. Once I look down, I just be like, oh, that's high up, but that's not horrible. Like it could be worse, and that's when you envision the skydiver. Okay, that skydiver is 5,000, 8,000 feet in the air. I'm only 40 feet. This isn't bad. I can handle this. And then you start
Funny, dude.
maneuvering sheets of plywood and the whole thing's swaying. Yeah, it was always terrifying. There was other times where I'd work heating and cooling, and we'd climb a ladder up to the one run of the building, and then you had to go up another run. Or there's another time where we had like a 32-foot ladder, but we had to go 40 feet in the air.
Mm,
Yay.
yeah, no. Although it doesn't feel any different going out of a plane than doing that, I'm sure, dude. Like to me, it all felt this like it's all the same. You all like you just adjust your head to it and you're good,
Mhm.
essentially.
And
But
that's why I
that's
have to look down,
yeah,
adjust my mind to it, know that I'm okay, that it's not as bad as my brain is making things out to be.
yeah. I think that was a 10,000-foot dive, wasn't it, Sarah?
Yeah, 10 or 15, I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever-
10,000, I think,
whatever it
foot
is.
is where we jumped from.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was, man. That skyline when you look outside the plane, oh, so
I was
beautiful.
just like, "Whee."
Yeah, my wife just jumped right out. She's like, I'm gone.
Peace.
And then I couldn't say no.
Yeah, that's that would be a little bit easier for me. I don't know if I could be the first one to jump, having my fear of heights be looking down. Oh God, I can't do this.
Well, you're sitting in some dude's lap, so
True.
if you want to get out of the lap quicker, you want to go out.
Yeah. Well, maybe one of these years I'll have good enough legs to be able to make that landing. I had a
Mm.
couple of skydiving buddies, and they told me with how bad my knees are, they don't suggest it because it's like an injury waiting to happen. So I'm like, okay, I'll put it off of my bucket list till I'm a little bit older, and then I can do the knee replacements after I destroy them the rest of the way. Plans, right?
Yeah. Well, that's good. Like learning how to adjust your body to a physical injury takes a long time. Like you have to adapt a whole new set of
Oh yeah.
regular for you.
I literally spent 3-4 years staring at this corner in the ceiling.
Mhm.
And I finally got to the point where I didn't want to be a lump on the couch. All I was doped up on pain pills and laid on the couch. I was a piece of crap parent to my son, and I didn't want that type of life. I didn't want to just exist. There was more I can do. And changing that mindset to be able to get up, to start moving. I mean, I came home from the hospital with my arm in a sling and the doc telling me to use crutches. It's like, well, how do I use crutches when I'm still recovering from a rotator cuff injury? And I ended up being in a wheelchair for a few weeks, then went to the crutches, then went to a cane, and I've been walking with the cane for quite a while. But doing all the yoga, doing the Kenpo, working through the pain, doing the visioning to see that final outcome, teaching my brain that this pain is not as bad. Um, but that's one other thing I learned is the pain meds that I was on, and I was on quite a lot, they didn't help me whatsoever. They were preventing my brain from teaching the body that this is doable. So, oh, I'm saying that wrong. There's some type of neural output with pain meds that block your brain from numbing the pain, for adjusting your pain level. So I never got used to that pain level. I just got used to the pain pills. Once I got off of the pain pills, it took about a year and a half, 2 years before my body regulated to the amount of pain I was in and I could move better. I still felt the pain. I still knew I was dealing with the problematics of, all of that went on. But I noticed my body could move better. So I started doing more with yoga, and I'm seeing that I can move better and freer. And that alone took away a lot of the stresses, because how do you live your best life if you're stuck in a wheelchair? How do you live your best life if you're stuck on crutches? And I was determined not to be stuck. And even if I was stuck in a wheelchair, I was going to find a way to do all that I needed to do, because I wasn't going to allow myself to be held back or to be labeled. You know, Unfortunately, we humans, we label ourselves all the freaking time. We allow our doctors to label us. We allow counselors, therapists, to label us. And a lot of these things, they can be healed and worked through if you can go within and tackle these dark sides that we all have.
I know. I always tell people that I see in pain that they need to go into their pain, and I always get looked at like I'm a crazy motherfucker. But it's true. If you don't go into your pain, you don't grow. Like, but if you go into it, it will literally help you grow into your better version.
Yep. And there's techniques out there too. I don't fully remember how to walk through it, but I was walked through this process to where, like, wherever that pain is in your body, you basically grow it little by little in stages until it's like the size of the planet, or bigger than the planet, and then you walk it back down till it's dissolved smaller than a grain of sand or something like that. And I still don't comprehend how it worked, but it allowed a lot of the pain I was living in to dissipate. And I'm like, where the fuck did it go? Like, how did that even work? It's like, oh yeah, the mind is the most powerful thing in the freaking existence, really. I mean, there's so much we don't know about the brain still.
It's that creating space. It's so crazy what it can do for people.
Mhm.
Uh, what's one piece of advice you'd give somebody that's having that kind of a rough time?
Decide what you want out of life. Decide what you're going to allow to hold you back. You may decide that you're going to do it all. Go for it. You may find things that come up in your path that prevent you from doing what you want to do, but just remember, there's multiple ways to get around things. There's multiple ways to do things. So as long as you're creative enough to not be stopped at the first roadblock, you're going to go places. So envision it. And if you get stopped, envision a new way. Sit and meditate. Ask source, how do I get around this? How do I get through this? Might be a lesson you need to learn before you can get through it. But don't stop. Know what you want and keep going for it. Don't allow any outside source to stop you, because only you can truly stop yourself.
Boom. Could you do one card pull for us, please, Joe?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. What deck do we want to do?
Close your eyes and grab one.
Wow, the Rebel deck's fun. We've cursed a lot today, so let's
May as well
let's
keep
do
it
more.
going. I love it.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the video and see how many dollars to drop in the curse jar now. Good thing. What is a card for the callers? For those watching, what do they need to know? That one? Is that what we want to? Great freaking card. So, can't really read it. You are giving away your power. On the backside says, you are a badass. Act like it. I
Yes.
totally agree. Take back your power and be the badass you truly are. Love that. Rebel deck is so fun.
I love the Rebel deck.
Right.
And with that, remember you're a badass, and thank you for joining us on Positive Waves. Please subscribe to us. I'm Matthew Collinson.
I'm Joseph Somma.